Hey, what is up guys? Today I'm going to show you my new favorite void build this season, capable of suppressing, weakening, applying volatile rounds and much more. This build will allow you to decimate any content in the game while having the best time of your life. I'm also going to be sharing tips and tricks that take this build to the next level, so make sure you stick around. Gyrfalcon's Hoberg is back and a lot of people have been comparing it to Oculus. But honestly, I see them as completely two different playstyles, and both exotics shine in their own way. Oculus is always going to be the king if you want to carry your team through hard activities like Grandmasters. However, it can be quite boring as it doesn't provide any other benefits aside from surviving and being able to constantly revive teammates. Gyrfalcon's is quite the opposite. It turns you into a beast that wants to pump out as much damage as possible, while still giving you all the benefits that come with a void subclass, such as being invisible. First of all, there's two main ways you can play this exotic. One with the use of Stylus Executioner, which will allow you to constantly go invisible and proc the exotic through debuffs applied to your enemies. Or the Trapper's Ambush way, in which you have to manually time your invis in order to maximize damage, but it also allows you to survive longer as you have one extra invis. It also doesn't require any debuffs. Now, in my opinion, this exotic was made to be used with Stylus Executioner. The synergy is simply too good to pass on, hence that's the build I'll be showing you today. However, before we dive in any deeper, I want to invite you guys to join my Discord community. If you have any questions, I'm always there helping people. We are also launching weekly raids, so if you want to learn, feel free to join the server. This amazing exotic will provide you with a 35% damage boost to all your weapons after you emerge from being invisible. This buff lasts for 5 seconds. This is an empowering buff, meaning it does not stack with other empowering buffs like High Energy Fire, Well of Radiance or Lumina. It does stack with Font of Might and weapon perks like Frenzy or Rampage. This damage buff cannot be reapplied until the first one ends, so if you go invisible and then come out in that 5-second period, you will not renew the duration of the buff. Now, that won't be a problem for us in this build, but it's good to keep in mind. Now, the exotic also gives you and your allies improved class ability regeneration, as well as reserve overshields whenever you finish an enemy while being invisible. This improved class ability regen is basically you getting your whole dodge back, which is insane. The way you deploy the reserve overshield is by using your class ability, in our case that's our dodge. There is also a hidden perk in this exotic, and that is the fact that whenever you perform a finisher while being invisible, enemies surrounding you will become volatile. Now, that's a lot of features for a single exotic if you ask me. So, we know that we get a huge damage boost whenever we come out of being invisible. That is why we are going to be pairing this with the aspect Stylus Executioner, which makes us invisible every time we defeat a debuffed target. Those debuffs include Volatile, Weaken and Suppress, and we are going to be applying all three of them. Starting off with Volatile, thanks to our Fragment Echo of Instability, which provides us with volatile rounds after we defeat a target with a grenade. The second way we are going to be applying Volatile is with our Invisible Finisher, thanks to the exotic's hidden perk that I've already showed you guys. Echo of Undermining is going to help us in applying the weakening debuff whenever we hit a target with our grenade, and we also apply this debuff with our super, our melee after we perform a finisher, and of course our smoke bomb. Finally, the last debuff is Suppression, and we are going to apply it thanks to our suppressing grenade. So as you can see, we are going to be relying on our grenade a lot. In order to get this grenade back as fast as possible, we are going to be using Devour, which is a void buff that gives you grenade energy as well as it heals you to full HP whenever you defeat targets. We are going to be using the Fragment Echo of Starvation, which will activate Devour whenever we pick up an Orb of Power. In order to create that Orb of Power, we are also going to be using Harmonic Siphon on our helmet, and it's that simple. This amazing synergy is enough to make this build S tier, however it only gets better from now on because of the mods that we are going to be using. Stat-wise, we are going to be prioritizing Resilience, followed by Mobility, and then Discipline. Now keep in mind that we do get our dodge back whenever we finish a target while being invisible, so mobility might not be as useful as you think. However, if you're using Reaping Wellmaker, then you can spam more wells thanks to this. Ability wise, you can use Marksman Dodge, you can use Gambler's Dodge. I honestly prefer using Gambler's Dodge because I do like to get my Smoke Bomb back, as it's another debuff that I can throw onto my enemies. For your grenade, if you are not using Collective Obligation, then you can swap this out for Vortex Grenades. But if you are using Collective Obligation, then I would leave it at Suppressing Grenades. Aspect wise, we are using Stylus Executioner, which I already explained to you guys, but it makes us invisible whenever we defeat a debuffed target. Then we have Vanishing Step, and thanks to this we can go invisible whenever we dodge. Fragment wise, we are going to be using Echo of Persistence just to increase that invisibility, Overshield and Devour buff length. Next up we have Echo of Instability, that's going to give us volatile rounds every time we defeat a target with a grenade. Then we have Echo of Starvation, which gives us Devour whenever we pick up an Orb of Power. And finally we have Echo of Undermining, which makes our grenades weaken the targets, making them take extra damage. Moving on into our mods, we are going to be starting off with our helmet, and we are using Reaping Wellmaker, which allows for your next weapon final blow to make a Void Elemental well after you dodge. Also, make sure that you are using Harmonic Siphon to create those orbs of power. On our gauntlets, we are using Well of Tenacity, which is going to give us that 40% damage reduction buff whenever we pick up a Void Elemental well. If you do not need both champion mods, then I do like to use Vault Stirring Detonation, as this is going to allow for your dodge to come back even faster. On our chest, we are using Font of Might, and this is going to give us that 25% damage buff to our Void weapons whenever we pick up a Void Elemental well. Also, make sure that you match the chest resistance mods to the activity that you're doing. On our leg armor, we are using another copy of Wall of Tenacity, and they do stack together, giving us 11 seconds of that 40% damage reduction buff. And finally, on our cloak, we are using Elemental Time Dilation, which is going to prolong the duration of Font of Might and Well of Tenacity. It also allows for Well of Tenacity, the two copies, to stack with each other. We combine this with double utility kickstars just to get our dodge faster. The way you want to play this build is by activating Devour as soon as possible, meaning that all you want to do is get a double kill with your Void weapon. This will spawn an Orb of Power, which will activate Devour. Then you want to start spamming your grenade as well as your dodge. Your grenade will provide you with volatile rounds, as well as it will weaken and suppress targets, while your dodge will allow you to spawn a Void well on your next weapon kill. Unless you're using Elemental Ordnance, then you don't even need to spam your dodge. Once you pick up that well, you will activate Well of Tenacity and Font of Might, which will further boost your damage and allow you to survive for much longer. If you're using Collective Obligation, then just collect all the debuffs and then activate the exotic in order to start applying them to everyone that you shoot. Thanks to Stylus Executioner, we will be constantly going invisible, proccing that insane 35% damage boost from our exotic. There's also a cool interaction with Gyrfalcon's Hoberg and Stylus Executioner, which makes you invisible whenever you finish a target. That's because Hoberg applies volatile rounds to whoever we are finishing, meaning that the target becomes debuffed as we are performing the finisher. That then activates Stylus Executioner, making us invisible for free. Also, keep in mind that your grenade makes you invisible whenever it kills a target. And overall, I think this is an awesome build that Void Hunters were missing, and I'm very happy that Bungie decided to make an exotic capable of rivaling Omnioculus. As always, I hope that you guys have enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe, and peace out.